borderradio.org and with the KOFA app. Stay tuned for What's Up Yuma with Johnny Porter. It's 10 o'clock.
If you are in the process of planning for your estate, please consider including KAWC, KOFA, and other charitable organizations in your will or trust. Gifts to nonprofit organizations in your estate planning can help continue your connection to the causes that are important to you. For information, call us at 877-838-5292.
What's up, Yuma? I'm Johnny Porter.
And I'm Victor Calderon. On today's program, our first two guests are from Onvida Health. We have Briana Smith. She's a family nurse practitioner. We also have Matt Southmayd. He's the nursing director of stroke and neurology. And our second guest is Adrienne Noriega. She works here at the Student Health and Wellness Department at Arizona Western College.
So stay with us for What's Up Yuma Radio, beginning right now on KOFA 94.7 FM.
And streaming online at borderradioaz.org and on the KOFA app. You can also view our show on the Border Radio Facebook page and the KAWC YouTube page. And don't forget, you can reach out to us by email at whatsupyumaradio@gmail.com.
What's Up Yuma is sponsored by Citrine Law, LLC, a Yuma law firm practicing criminal defense, DUI defense, and personal injury law. Information is at citrinelaw.com.
Chili from Philly. Nick Papa Giorgio from Yuma.
Johnny Show! What's up, Yuma?
What's up, Yuma? You're listening to another edition of What's Up, Yuma. I'm Victor Calderon.
And I'm Alex. I'm filling in for Johnny today. He's out today and tomorrow, so.
Yes, so Johnny needed a break. He was going hard for the event that was on Saturday, Building an Empire, over at the Quezon Casino Resort. And again, briefly, that was a networking event for local local professionals. And so, yeah, Johnny, he probably hit the casino a little too hard. So he needed a couple days to, he was here yesterday, but he needed a couple days to,
and he's
recharge his batteries.
been getting his business together because he's starting a new venture, kind of.
Right. What's Up Media. And so, so that's the serious side. So he is doing work. He's not just, lounging. But anyway, so we'll have him back hopefully on Thursday. But so Alexandra, it is Tuesday. I can still ask you, did you have a good weekend?
I did. What did I do? I kind of just relaxed this weekend because I'm planning to be out of town this weekend for Memorial Day weekend. So I kind of just relaxed and, hung out with my dogs at home.
That's good. Yeah, every now and then to just hang out with dogs. But so, all right, we're going to get to our first guests. They are from Onvida Health, and we'll go left to right. So we have Matt Southmayd. He is the nursing director of stroke and neurology. And we also have Briana Smith. She is a family nurse practitioner. Thank you both for being here this morning.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Glad to be here.
Thanks for having us.
So we have some news, and we're going to get into that a little later on. But first, we'd like to get to know our guests and where they're from and what brought them to Yuma if they're not from here. So, Briana, let's start with you. Are you originally from Yuma County?
Born and raised, yep. I graduated from KOFA High School.
Go Kings?
Yeah.
Okay.
I then went to ASU where I was planning on doing business marketing, but my grandfather got sick, and so I took care of him. And then I decided I think nursing is something that I can do. So I came back to AWC, got my nursing degree, went back to ASU to get my bachelor's in nursing, and then my doctorate in nurse practitioning.
So what can you say about the program here at AWC? Because we've had people on, but there's nothing like testimonial from someone who actually went through the program. So what did you think of the program here?
I think it was great. I think that it's rigorous. You definitely earn your stripes, and I think it's a great option for anyone that wants to save money, that wants to learn, and so I think it's a really good program. Yeah.
And so you went to ASU. So then, what was that like? What was that program like up there?
So most of it is online, which was nice. So I was able to work at Onvida during my bachelor and then during my doctorate. So that was really nice, convenient. Traveling up to Phoenix only a few times in the semester, and it was a few years. I did that while I worked in the ER, but definitely highly recommend pursuing, furthering your degrees.
And so when you're at ASU and you're from Yuma, did you always think you wanted to come back to Yuma and work at Onvida? Maybe you knew people there, maybe you knew the program, maybe you were a little bit working here?
Yeah, I lived in Phoenix for about 2 years. I loved Phoenix. I did think about traveling, but I met my husband, and so he also works and lives here, and so it was. And I have tons of family here, so it was nice. I have my 2 boys, so it's really nice to have family care for them.
Yeah. Okay. Matt, let's go to you now. So are you originally from Yuma County?
No, I'm not.
All right. Where are you from, sir?
I'm originally from Oregon.
Okay.
I recently actually relocated here to Yuma about 2 years ago. Transition. My wife and I, we just got tired of all the cold and forest fires in Oregon. We wanted to move somewhere warm. I had a good friend that worked here at Onvida and said, hey, you got to come check this place out. There's something special here. And so we came down, visited, and really just fell in love with the town, relocated our family here, and man, been best decision we've made in a long time.
And so before I go on, I should say that Onvida Health is a underwriter for KWC and Kofa Border Radio. So I just want to get that out of the way. Yeah. But so, all right, so you hear good things about Onvida, as we all do in the community for the most part. And so you're in Oregon, and so you said it was a little bit of a transition, like you had to get used to the heat.
Yeah, very different climate here than in Oregon. Oregon rains a lot, lots of trees. We'd still see all the seasons, which is very different from here. But yeah, just, man, I love the heat. I love being warm all the time. I always tell my wife I'm cold, so we're like, where can we go that's warm? And we found the one place that's warm all the time.
Yeah.
How did you get your start into healthcare?
Started into healthcare. So I wasn't the traditional college student. I was actually a general contractor for about 12 years. My wife and I ended up, unfortunately, losing a son, and we spent a lot of time in the hospital. During that time, the nurses that cared for us just wrecked me in the best way possible. And as you go through that whole grieving process, a lot of years ago, I was like, man, I just no longer fulfilled with my job. And so I didn't know what to do. So I'd never been to college and basically just put myself through college and got a job at the local hospital, and the rest is history.
Wow, that is incredible. How many years were you working in Oregon in the healthcare?
I was in Oregon 14 years in healthcare.
Wow, yeah.
So the last 2 here.
Yeah, and I was looking at your bio. You helped with the end of life care unit?
Yeah. In Oregon, I oversaw basically an oncology end of life unit. And so a lot of end of life care, which is such an important part of the transition of our lives that we all go through. And so I spent a lot of time focusing on that one topic.
Wow. Is that mostly like elderly people who are like you're planning for, I guess, their end of life? Yeah,
I mean, realistically, that's what we hope is the standard transition of care. Occasionally, we did see some, difficult cases of younger people developing cancer. So some of that stuff was really, really difficult, but the vast majority were elderly population.
Wow, that's incredible. That's something we've spoken to a lot. Like within the office, we have a lot of, some of our coworkers who are taking care of their parents. Me and my fiance, we took in his father. And he ended up passing, what was it, in December. So it's something you often don't think about it until you go through it. You said that it was something that inspired you as well to go into healthcare.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's nursing, I think, is so special in the fact that you get to share those vulnerable moments with patients or their families. And so what he did is remarkable. It's awesome.
So I want to mention, Briana, so again, looking at your bio, you have a focus on adult care and chronic disease management. So what does that mean for lay people?
So I work at transitional care. Our main goal is to keep patients out of the hospital, and a lot of those patients who are at high risk for getting readmitted have, heart failure, lung disease, and those are chronic diseases that aren't necessarily going to improve. And so we focus on ensuring that those exacerbations that they can develop can get controlled and avoid going to the ER or getting admitted.
And then, Matt, so I want to ask, it says you're the health director of Tower 5. Mm-hmm. So what does that mean?
So at Onvida Health, the fifth floor. So there's only one tower, but it's the fifth floor. So it's our specialty is stroke and neurology. So we see a lot of patients with any kind of different etiologies of the brain, new onset confusion, those types of things. We also see general medicine type patients, but really focused just on kind of just the function of the brain and what happens and brings you to the hospital.
So tell us about working with the human brain. What is that? I can imagine that's a very exciting and interesting field.
Yeah, it can be very exciting. There's anytime you have a new onset confusion, it can always be a lot of different functions of different things that can, the physiology of the body, like how does it impact it in different ways. And so it's a very specific field, just looking at how the brain and very complex. And so it's a lot of like sleuth finding, of trying to do a lot of different imaging and really trying to rule out everything else to really focus in on what's going on.
So I'm a sports guy. I'm thinking like CTE. Do you deal with patients who have that, either athletes or people who might get it another way, like in a vehicle accident or something?
Yeah, you could definitely get different trauma to the brain from concussions, from injuries, those types of things. I did see a lot of those when I was in Oregon and some of the jobs that I did there, especially, where I lived in Oregon, there's a lot of professional players that would retire. And so that was a common thing we actually saw, especially with the football field, at least back then. And so not as much that I've seen here, but you definitely see it.
Mm-hmm. And so for someone going through that process, obviously every case is different, right? But generally, like when someone comes in, what do they go through? Do they get like a scan, or how does that work?
Yeah, so if they come into the ED right away and there's something going on, confusion, or maybe if they think they're having a stroke, they've got some kind of weakness in one side or the other, we have a very tight stroke protocol that really increases safety. And so immediately they get fast-tracked in the ED, because really it's about timing. How quickly we can intervene can really impact the long-term negative effects. So they'll come in, they'll get fast-tracked, and then they'll get very specialized imaging. We'll have a one-to-one neurologist who will video call in to review the patient to really kind of identify, is it a stroke specifically, because there's different actions we need to take, or is it maybe something else?
And so again, with neurology, and we know we have an older population here in Yuma County. Do you see a lot of people that get dementia, or like early onset dementia, Alzheimer's? How's that go for you?
Yeah, lots of, especially in the elderly population. We see it a lot coming into the hospital. So that's probably the vast majority of the patients that we see on the 5th floor is not so much an acute stroke, but something development of a long-term illness.
And I know something like that, it's always important to catch it early, right? The earlier you can catch it, the better, prognosis you can have, better life.
Yeah, if you catch it early, it's not just prognosis, but it's also like grappling with what's going to be happening, because some of this stuff is not preventable. It's part of aging, it's part of growing up. And when you think about the patient, it's not just the patient you're caring for, it's their family. And so a lot of them, the family interaction, how they're going to support their family as they walk through this transition of life is so crucial. And it's so important as part of that journey. So really having those conversations earlier really helps for long-term success of the family as a whole.
Yeah, very much so, because, you have caregivers. In some cases, it can be a spouse, or it can be a partner, or it can be, an adult child.
Yeah.
And so I think, for anyone going through that, and, you start to recognize maybe mom or dad or your, in-law doesn't recognize you or doesn't remember things. Yeah. And you might think at first, oh, they're just forgetting where they put their keys, or they forget, my son's name or whatever, but it could be something else.
Yeah.
And we do know that our region has the highest rates of dementia and Alzheimer's in Arizona. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious, is there anything that you can do as, in your younger years, like if you see your parents with starting to have those diseases?
Yeah, I mean, obviously annual checkups are so important. Like, preventative care is such a big deal, not just for this illness, but for all illnesses. Keeping a healthy, active lifestyle is also very important. Really caring for yourself. You always say that, like, hey, yeah, care for yourself, mm-hmm. but it is so important, especially in your later years of life.
Should we be doing more analog things as well? That's something we always talk about here, because we're all on our phone doing, other things. Should we be doing stuff with our hands, working our brain? Does that come into play?
In my opinion, yes.
Okay.
I'm not a licensed physician, but yes, as a nurse, yeah, keeping your mind active, staying, really processing those things really keeps good brain health. You see a lot of people, it's maybe a thing where they retire and all of a sudden they kind of let themselves down and let go of their active life, and then they start having some more health issues. Mm-hmm. It's really important to stay active, stay engaged, and keep your mind active.
Yeah, definitely.
So either maybe playing Jeopardy, or playing along with Jeopardy, or just reading a book, reading a paper, hard copy book, or a newspaper. I still do that, right? It still feels good.
Mahjong is becoming very popular.
Yeah, I played that.
Which I believe you had played recently.
Yeah, we do have a Yuma Mahjong group, so I have to have the lady that puts that on, I have to have her on.
You should. I actually want to learn how to play.
Yeah, because it's not just for, usually you think, oh, maybe older people, but it's like pickleball. Pickleball, Mahjong. It's cool for younger people to do it too now. So,
well, did you know that they change the rules of Mahjong every year? I just learned this.
I learned that as well. That there's a new card.
Constantly learning.
Right. So have you played?
I'm actually trying to learn Mahjong right now. I literally just bought it 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So cool.
I won't give away too much secrets, but I know there's a card involved, and that changes every year, right? With the rules and what the winning hands are. Mm-hmm. As was explained to me, because my wife and I had some friends over, and we did it at our house with a woman from the Mahjong Society. And so you have this card, right? And then it's a learning thing. It's at first, it's literally, it makes no sense. But then as you play, you start to your brain starts to, function, and you're oh, that makes sense. But yeah, so we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about a couple of things in the news with Onvida.
Yeah.
And then so we're going to take
Some exciting stuff.
some exciting news. So we're going to take a break and we'll be back on What's Up Yuma Radio.
If you're tired of listening to long commercials before finally hearing music, look no further. We've got you covered. Whether you're searching on your radio, trying to find an app to play some tunes, or need background music playing on your computer while finishing up some work, KOFA Border Radio is your non-commercial place for music.
What's Up Yuma Radio is sponsored in part by Nova Home Loans, serving Yuma County and nearby communities. Nova Home Loans offers residential lending services, including home loans and refinancing. They are also proud supporters of local community efforts and organizations. More information is available at novahomeloansyuma.com.
You are tuned to 94.7 FM KOFA Border Radio. I'm Cecilia Holland-Braithwaite coming in from the KEWC newsroom. Expect a sunny day in Yuma with an afternoon high near 93 degrees. Winds becoming northerly at 5 to 10 miles per hour, but could gust as high as 20 miles per hour. Mostly clear skies this evening with a low around 62. This year, Arizona Western College issued more than 3,200 degrees and occupational certificates, the highest number awarded in the college's history to date. Graduates from both Yuma and La Paz counties, among them were high school graduates who earned associate's degrees, military veterans, and many first-generation college students. More online at kwc.org.
The Yuma branch of the Boys and Girls Club hosts an indoor summer camp for grades K through 12 with full-day programs that offer hands-on activities, exercise, and friendship in a screen-free environment. Meals and snacks included. Registration is now open. Details at yuma.bgcaz.org.
For over 55 years, Border Radio KOFA has been a voice for music and culture in the region. We play indie, soul, funk, world beats, and more, plus local stories and live sessions. Tune in live at 94.7 FM, on demand at borderradioaz.org or on the KOFA app and discover your next favorite song.
What's Up Yuma? We're back on What's Up Yuma Radio. We have Briana and Matt from Onvida Health. Again, thank you for being here this morning. So I wanted to mention, let me first mention that why we have Bri here. So on May 2nd, the Yuma County Nurses Foundation held their annual gala. And at that gala, there were 3 winners that were selected, and I will build up. So we have Excellence in Nursing Leadership. The winner was Kristen Barra. She's Chief Executive Officer at Yuma Rehab Hospital. There was also Excellence in Nursing Mentorship Award winner, Ani Patchen. She's a nurse educator at Onvida Health. And our guest this morning, Clinical Nurse Excellence Award winner, Bree Smith. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
What did it, when it was announced, what was going through your mind when you heard that you had won?
I thought that they were lying. My friends called me.
Yeah.
My friends called me because I wasn't able to make it this year. They said, you won. I was like, yeah, right. But I did, and it was such an honor to receive it because clinical nursing, I feel like a lot of times it's a relationship that you build with the patient, and so nursing is so much more than that. It's teamwork. Everything that goes behind the scheduling, that goes behind, the therapies that they receive. So really meaningful to have an award that represents teamwork.
And so about how many people are on your team, give or take, like on any given shift?
I would say about 20.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And so do you have any stories, any positive stories or any moments that really taught you something, you learned something, like a night that was maybe a little more difficult?
Yeah, so I've been a nurse 6 years, and then 6 years after that, a nurse practitioner. I've had plenty of inspirational or meaningful nights or patients that I've had. But really, I think at our clinic, we treat each patient like they're our family, and so we get to know them. And a lot of our patients stay with us for years. And in the ER, you see these patients, different patients. Sometimes you see, some that come in quite often, but in the clinic setting where I work, we're able to like build relationships, and they become like family. And so if the patient's not doing well, it really, brings us down. But those relationships that we build with our patients sometimes we see our patients like every day in the clinic. So it's awesome. It's awesome. Yeah.
That's something we've heard, yes, from people who have had, either themselves or relatives at Onvida, or from people that work at Onvida, is that like the family feel that like you want to, show people that you care, and when you're working with them. Do you happen to know Haani, Patchen, the other winner? What can you say about her and the work she does?
I can't think of anyone more deserving of that award. I worked with her in the ER for some time, and she is a true light. Like, she is positive no matter the situation. In the ER, you get some bad situations that come in, and she is, always willing to help, always willing to keep that positivity in those situations. And I'm sad that she can't be here, but very deserving of those awards.
Yeah, and so we want to mention that another news item out there is that Onvida Health was named a great workplace for nurses in 2026 by NurseGrid.
Yes.
And so, Matt, I understand you accepted the award for Onvida, so tell us about that.
Yeah, so NurseGrid is basically an application that a company created that nurses can use to share their schedules. So it has nothing to do with our hospital necessarily. It's a national app that nurses use to connect with other nurses. And so they had this large group of basically clientele using this application, nurses, about 600,000 different nurses across the U.S. And so they asked them one simple question of like, would you recommend your place as a great place to work? And from that, they collated a whole bunch of data of roughly 7,700 different health groups, systems, doctors' offices. And of those, they highlighted just over 200 that met the criteria of being, yes, nurses say this is a great place to work, and Onvida was one of those. And so I was fortunate enough to stand in Chicago and receive that award from NurseGrid to Onvida.
So I want to read that testimonials from longtime Onvida nurses reflect a workplace culture grounded in respect, communication, continuous learning, and compassion. So again, like making everyone feel like they're part of the extended family.
Yeah. And honestly, like I've noticed that, like I shared earlier, I'm not originally from this area. Not all health systems are built the same. I've worked at multiple different health systems, and the culture we have here in Yuma is very special. I tell my staff that all the time that have grown up here. I'm like, you guys don't know what you have if you haven't worked somewhere else. The culture here, the people here, they're rooted in this community and care about this community deeply.
Right. And as both Alexander and I have reported, Onvida is always offering more programs, building more campuses to keep people here in Yuma County, right, and keep them from having to drive to, unless they really prefer or they really need something specialized, from going to Phoenix or Tucson or San Diego, right, for care.
Yeah.
I also want to mention that Onvida Health has approximately 1,000 registered nurses among its 4,500 employees. So that's about a quarter of the employees. And as I've also reported, because there was recently an economic impact study that was released from Onvida, the total workforce at Onvida is like 14% of the total workforce in Yuma County.
Yep.
So chances are, like, if you live here a while, you know someone who works at or has been a patient at Onvida.
Yeah.
So just what does it mean to be part of this, such a, an organization that has such a footprint in the community?
Yeah, I think from my view, like it's an honor for me to be here, to be part of this community. As such a large member of this community, being the largest healthcare provider locally for the community, it is community members caring for their community, and that's just such a beautiful thing to be partnered with, and such an honor to walk through. I don't know, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm a proud human, and I'm proud to work at Onvida. I know that throughout the years, we've evolved. They've really invested not only in our community but the staff, and so we feel it, that investment. And I think when you feel like you're cared for, you can care for others just as well.
Yeah, and no offense to our transplants from outside who work at Onvida, but people that are from Yuma County and work at Onvida, they also bring that like knowledge of like, okay, I kind of understand where this person's coming from. Mm-hmm. Maybe I know them, maybe they're a friend of a friend
Absolutely.
Or a relative of a friend. Mm-hmm. So that just having that knowledge, and so that's part of like building these campuses and these programs to keep students here, health students here. Is hopefully they'll work here.
Yeah, homegrown,
like grow your own, healthcare professionals.
Yeah, but also, Matt, I'm sure you see a lot of people coming in, like snowbirds from Oregon, right? You're able to relate to.
Yeah, I actually do. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's awesome. How is that then?
Yeah, well, it's different, So in Yuma, we have a lot of snowbirds, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like our population almost doubles in that wintertime, which is really interesting, not similar to where I was in Oregon. And so there's different dynamics of like how do you manage patient flow and process and staffing and all these like practical things. But it also creates a different dynamic of like you've got people that are here year round, that just beautiful, wonderful culture, care for each other so well. And then these visitors that come that also adopt that same identity, which is really kind of fun to watch.
Do you see some of those patients like preferring to do their care while they're in Yuma during the season?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, so as part of my job, I round on patients every day on our unit to basically just check in. How are you doing? How are we doing as caregivers? And a lot of those questions or statements I get is like, yeah, I love here. Like I live in Sacramento. I live up in Washington or wherever. And they're like, yeah, I really prefer our hospital here in Yuma because they do such better care for us.
Wow. And I'm curious you've been talking about that you don't know how good you have it.
Yeah.
How was it working in Oregon?
West Coast of the U.S. has some like political things going on, which we won't get into, but it's very different. It's just a different climate. Yuma is so much more like family and culturally driven. Like people care about each other. That's one of the things I first noticed is how kind people are just walking down the street here compared to some of the other places that I've lived. And so it's just been a breath of fresh air. Like I don't think I ever want to leave Yuma.
Yeah, that's great. Well, we're glad to have you. Yeah.
As a fellow nurse, what can you say about your colleagues who were recently recognized by the Yuma County Nurses Foundation, Bree and Ha'ani?
Yeah, I like
the work they do.
Basically the same thing, couldn't pick better nurses to win these awards. Like it's really just highlights their commitment and everything that they do here for our community.
And so we want to mention, of course, we talked about how Arizona Western College has a great nursing program and a lot of the students who go here stay here.
Yeah.
But talk about like advice you would give to someone who's either a young going through the college here or they're thinking about joining the health profession.
I would say go for it. We're always going to need nurses. If you're wanting something that's fulfilling, if you're wanting something that you can be proud of, definitely nursing is a way to make a big impact in people's lives, and it's unique in that sense as well. What do you think?
Yeah, it's a great career. Like I shared earlier, it wasn't my first choice. I never knew I was going to be in healthcare. But man, I'm glad I'm here. Like it has been the most rewarding job I think I've ever had. It's hard work for sure, but it's worth well doing. Worth doing.
So.
Yeah. We know we just celebrated, was it Nurses Month? Nurses Week?
Nurses Week, yeah.
How was that?
It's good. It's funny. We celebrate Nurses Week and Hospital Week,
nice.
One right after the other. And so it's our opportunity to basically just highlight and take a moment to highlight the nursing staff and then the hospital staff the next week after for all the great work we do day to day.
How can we as a community better support you guys as nurses?
Yeah, from my standpoint, one of the best things that we love to hear is basically feedback on how we're doing. We have opportunity, if you're ever a patient in the hospital, you can write kudos cards basically that highlight your individual staff. Why did they make you feel safe? Why did they go above and beyond? Those types of things, like speaking that to our staff is so life-giving and so supportive. And so those opportunities, we just love to see more of that.
That's great.
Anything else either of you want to mention about Onvida Health? As we mentioned, there's growth, right? Mm-hmm. And growth is a good thing. And so just being able to offer services like in San Luis, there's the VA clinic, again, things we've reported for KWC. There's also the college. There's going to be a more of a college program with like the U of A Nurse College of Health, and that's going to be here. So just talk about how all these, things together and maybe help people like you, like the nurses.
I want to say that with all that growth, there's so many opportunities as a nurse, whether it's IT or whether it's leadership, whether it's being a nurse practitioner, so many different opportunities. And with that growth, it's a great opportunity to go to school here and then grow within our community.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity, and that's one of the things I love about Onvida is it's so focused on this region, meeting the needs here, making decisions of like we want to grow here because there's a need for the community, and so lots of opportunity, lots of growth, and really focused through that growth, not just doing it but doing it well, and really focused on safety has been our top priority for the last dozen years, and it's just been getting better every year.
So I'm going to close on a fun question. So obviously there's a lot of movies and television that have to do with like nurses and hospitals, right? And there's a range of, right, But I want to ask, like, do they get it right for the most part, or is there? I know there's some artistic license, right? And you can think about like your favorite show, ER, Scrubs, any of those.
Yeah.
I think, isn't it The Pit that's really popular?
Pit.
Yeah.
That's pretty realistic.
Yeah. I'd say
Scrubs is my favorite, though.
The Pit is probably the one that's on the air is the most realistic right now.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of Scrubs.
Yeah, because you want to take a humor look at things, and then there's also time for to be serious, and you know, we're dealing with that. All right, so again, our guests are Bree and Matt from Onvida Health. Thank you both for being here this morning.
Yes.
Thank you.
Anything in closing? Anything you want to mention? Any shout outs?
Shout out to my family.
Yeah, just this amazing community that's welcomed my family here. I just thank you. It's been such a joy to be here.
All right, well, thank you both so much for the work you do and your teams at Onvida. So with that, we're going to take a break here on What's Up Yuma. We're going to come back with Adrienne Noriega. She is a student care coordinator here in the Student Health and Wellness Department at Arizona Western College. So I guess it's Health Day today.
Awesome.
Yeah.
But all right, we'll be back on What's Up Yuma Radio.
Bopping to the new beats heard around the world, or relaxing to the tunes of memory lane. We are your non-commercial source of music. Run by volunteer hosts, this is KOFA Border Radio, 94.7 FM, 1320 AM, on the KOFA app, or at borderradioaz.org.
What's Up Yuma is sponsored by Citrine Law, LLC, a locally owned Yuma law firm practicing criminal defense, DUI defense, and personal injury law throughout Yuma County and across Arizona. Citrine Law serves clients in English and Spanish. Information is at citrinelaw.com.
For KAWC, I'm Alexandra Rangel. Graduation week is officially here for high school seniors across Yuma County. We've been talking with students about what comes next after high school. For one senior, his plans recently took a different turn.
Giovanni Santiago Servin Gonzalez. I'm a senior at Kofa High School. It's scary, honestly. Life just is lifing, I was thinking about joining the Marine Corps. Yeah, until the whole conflict. And then I was like, it's not really my place to go and potentially take someone else's life because, the presidents can't get along. Changed my mind to firefighting. That's always been my thing since a young age, just trying to help out others, just do the most I can for others, and eventually that'll come back to me.
Giovanni's message to his fellow seniors.
Class of 2026, anything's possible as long as you put your mind to it. No matter what's happening in your life, just set your mind on a goal, and if you really want it, it's going to happen. It'll take time.
For KAWC, I'm Alexandra Rangel.
KAWC and Border Radio are media sponsors of the Lutz Summer Jazz Series, with concerts every other Friday from 7 to 9 p.m. at Lutz Casino on Main Street in Yuma. The series begins May 22nd with the Yuma Jazz Company welcoming vocalist and saxophonist Eloisa Arvizo. Details at yumajazz.com/Lutz.
I use KAWC almost on a daily basis in my car. It's the background for chores around my house. And I go to the website and look for stories that are of interest, and I listen to podcasts. I look to the news on NPR because I'm looking for something beyond the headline or a soundbite or a gotcha moment. I really want news that shows me sort of the multiple dimensions of a story, that seeks information from multiple sources and doesn't tell me how to think. It just presents the issues, and I really appreciate that. Being a sustaining member of a service like KAWC takes the mystery out of it for me. So I know that I am supporting every month. I also know that I don't have to remember to sit down and write a check at the end of the year or a budget for a check at the end of the year, right? It's kind of coming out of my account every month, and that makes me feel a little bit like I'm part of the team. I'm Lori Stoft from Arizona Western College, and I'm a proud supporter of KAWC Yuma.
KOFA Border Radio doesn't sound like any other radio station in Yuma. We are a non-commercial source for music from around the world, across the decades and local artists. Our hosts are volunteers. If you would like to get involved, send an email to music@borderradioaz.org.
What's Up Yuma? You're listening to What's Up Yuma Radio, and our next guest is Adrienne Noriega. She's a Student Care Coordinator here in the Student Health and Wellness Department, Arizona Western College. Thank you for being here this morning.
Yeah, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
So, we like to get to know our guests here on the show before we get into what you do now. So, I understand you're from Yuma.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, born and raised here in Yuma.
So, what school did you go to?
I started out going to Castle Dome. My mom is a teacher, so I kind of followed her around wherever she went to teach. And then we went to Reagan. She was my third grade teacher there. Centennial, Cibola, and then I came here.
Cibola, go Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
And so you came here to Arizona Western College. So what did you study here?
Well, in high school, I did 4-H and FFA. So I showed animals and did a lot of competitions. And I thought I was going to go into agriculture and go into ag systems management. And then when I started taking classes, it was just not the same. I think what I enjoyed about it was the animals and like that part of it. So I changed my mind a lot. When I was here, I changed it to vet, I changed to education. But then I ended up landing on nutrition because I was really into like medical, learning about biology. Like that class, I think really shifted it for me with one of the professors here. And then it was just kind of an easy class for me to take. Like it was easy for me to catch on to everything. So I kind of wanted to keep pursuing that area. And so I was thinking maybe I'll be a physician assistant, use nutritional science as my prerequisites to get in. And then I just kind of fell in love with nutrition when I went to U of A and worked in a research lab over there for the Cancer Center. And so I was thinking maybe I'll go into nutrition research. But then COVID happened, and then I moved back to Yuma, and I started working for the Yuma County Health Department as a health educator. And then I just kind of fell in love with educating people about nutrition and just kind of meeting them where they are about their health and wellness. And then I became a health coach. And then things, getting more experience with coaching people, and that's kind of what led me here.
Yeah. So let me take a step back. So obviously, we've talked before about how people don't always know what they want to go, what they want to be, right? And especially when you're like 18, 19.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of find your way. And as you said, you thought it was going to be in agriculture, but you like the animals, and the ag program here is more of like ag, like field maintenance and ag technology.
Management,
as we've reported every year when they do the big event here, the Ag Summit.
Yeah.
And then so you said nutrition was more of your. It just came easier to you, and it was more interesting, and it was more you could see yourself doing it more.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun too because you're learning about cooking and how to make food taste good, but also be good for you. And so I just felt like that was a good place to meet people when it came to their health. A lot of times they're going to a doctor when they're sick, when it's almost not too late, but where they could have done some more preventative things with their nutrition or just having healthier habits in general. So that's kind of what I like to do, is just meeting people where they are when it comes to their well-being, and what can we do to just make some healthier habits. And
you said you went to the University of Arizona in Tucson, but you always knew you felt like you wanted to come back to Yuma and work, like Yuma's home. And
yeah, I think so. I'm really grateful that I did 2 years here at AWC because I changed my major so much. And so it gave me an opportunity to really figure out what do I want to do without spending so much money. And so when I went to U of A, I was a lot more focused and, finished and did really well there. So yeah, then when during COVID, I moved back here and started working for the health department. And yeah, I love Yuma. Like I did a lot growing up here. Every summer, like I was talking to my mom yesterday about, we had like a calendar of all the activities that we would do from the city of Yuma, swim classes, guitar lessons. Like we were really involved in the community.
So what was it like working at the health department, right? Because from our end, like here at KWC, we were like following the health department. We had them like on speed dial. And we were working from home, but we were calling and checking the new numbers every day, right, as they were being released. But working in it, how was it like for you?
It wasn't like right in the middle of everything, but we did have to wear masks. We did have to, take our temperature every morning. We had to social distance ourselves. And we ended up helping with the vaccine distribution, even though that wasn't necessarily our job. So that was, I think, a nice thing to do because we were helping people in a scary time. So it was different than what I had initially applied for, but there were opportunities at times where I did get to go to schools, even though a lot of schools weren't allowing us to come in. So we did some school gardens, just nutrition classes for students. We went to some senior centers and built gardens there. So it was very, there was still a lot for us to do and a lot of training. I learned a lot there about like mindful and intuitive eating. And then that's when I started to get into more health coaching, and, not really fixating so much because I'm not a registered dietitian. Like that's another level, but you can still educate people about macronutrients and things like that. But I feel like people need to take a step back even from that and just work on their relationship with food. Am I eating because I'm hungry, or is it because there's maybe stress or some kind of emotion going on too?
Very much so. If I can talk, so we've talked about before on this show about how I've lost weight in the last few months. I lost 52 pounds.
Wow.
Through eating better, working with Empower Wellness. Shout out to Empower Wellness. Shout out to B1 Elite Fitness, strength training. I think you go there as well.
I work with Adley there.
You work with Adley. We both work with Adley.
Oh, nice.
She's great.
She is.
And the team there is great. And then it's just being mindful of, changing things in your life, right? Because you get into, I'll say from my end, before it was just, I wasn't doing those things. I wasn't working out. I wasn't eating well. I was eating fast food a lot. And so just being mindful of portion size, calories, obviously, what you eat, more protein, all that good stuff kind of helps. And so also had my wife pushing me, and she was losing weight with me as well. So we had each other to motivate.
Yeah.
So if you have someone that can motivate you, that obviously helps. But just being mindful, and so I feel better. I wake up more, more energized, and I'm able to go through the day better. So you find that's with the people you work with, that's how it is for them.
Yeah, I think one thing that I like to focus on is non-scale victories. And so, some people might initially have a goal of losing X amount or being a certain size, but what I like to focus on more is those non-scale victories, like you meal prep for yourself, or you went to bed early, or you just little things that are meaningful to you that in the long term are going to create that sustainability. Like anybody could go to the gym and hit the gym really hard for a month or so and try to do a really restricted diet, but that's not sustainable. And then you're kind of in that chronic dieting lifestyle where your body's just going to want to take all that back in when you're finally going back to your lifestyle again.
I'll say for me, it was actually easy for me to give up eating so much fast food. Strangely, not going to Taco Bell every other day. But no, for me, going to bed early, because I'm more of a night owl. I'm not a morning person. My wife is, and so we're different in that way. But but I am working on it, and I am, being more mindful of going to bed earlier and getting, as much sleep as
just
possible.
the basics, getting enough sleep, making sure you're eating water, that you're not restricting yourself, too extreme with the diet. And I think mindfulness, stress relief, all of that plays a really big role too, because your body wants to hold on to body fat when you're stressed as a way to kind of give you energy to fight off that stress. Even though that stress might be in your head and not actually real, your body doesn't know the difference. So that's, after I was, doing a lot with nutrition and health coaching, I was like, I really enjoy doing yoga because that, I think, really helps to manage the stress, and everything kind of, plays into each other. Your emotions, your mental health has just as much to do with your overall well-being, as nutrition and exercise.
I'm curious, challenges that you may have with people here in Yuma County with kind of the cultural side of the diet and what we eat. How have you combated that with some of your clients or patients?
I mean, sometimes it's easier to focus on what's a positive change that you can make versus what can you get rid of? Keep your tortillas if you like it. Maybe cut back to a few. So, or not so many. It's just about still enjoying the things that you enjoy, but being like we're talking about, just more mindful about it and what is it actually doing to serve you? So, maybe focusing more on what can you add into your life that would be a healthier habit than taking things away that you enjoy.
Yeah, because I know I have family members who they know it's bad for them, but they will still eat it, and it's it's affecting your health. So
yeah. Well, and I think sometimes if you don't have maybe a diagnosis of something or blood work results that show something, you don't really take it as seriously. So maybe just encouraging them to go to the doctor, get their blood work, figure out what's going on. And if everything's great, then that's great. But maybe there's something going on that you don't see on the outside, but if we don't address it, then it might get worse and it might be almost, too late, where you have to take medication and surgeries and have more complications. So that's kind of what I like to focus on too, and just taking it back to their values. Like if they enjoy their family, or their pets or something, like tying that into what they like to do. Like they might not like to exercise, or, they might not go to the gym, but maybe they really love their dog and they're willing to take them for more walks or something.
Yeah. Now, can you tell us, how did you end up at Arizona Western College, and what is it that you do here?
So I used to work for the Wellness Council of Arizona, and I was the health coach for AWC employees, Crane School District, and the city of Yuma. And then I started to do more yoga and getting my master's. And so I decided to kind of focus on that. But then this position opened up like for AWC specifically. And I love AWC. I mean, I went here and it was like for me, like a way to kind of give back. And it was the student care coordinator position. And it was, in my mind, it's very similar to health coaching because I am sort of like a case manager. So I have students that I see. We get referrals from faculty, or sometimes they just come straight to us and maybe they have some concerns. And so we meet with them, and sometimes it's mental health. I would say most of the time it's mental health. So that's where, I meet them where they are and maybe try to get them connected with Better Mind or something local in the community, or also just kind of seeing if maybe there's some techniques or practices that we can work on together and kind of coaching them through that. So breath work or meditation, or just like, again, meeting them where they are and what fits their lifestyle as students.
Yeah. What are like the services that are provided to the students?
So for AWC, every single student has access to teletherapy through Better Mind. So even if you're just taking one credit, you can get 3 free sessions. And then you can request more sessions after that. But we like to meet with you in person, either virtually or in the office, to maybe see like what other supports you could have. Because Better Mind isn't a permanent solution. It's only as, when you're a student. So we get them connected with Onvida or Sunset Health, or other places that are taking students or taking patients. So we have that. We also have the Cubby, which is where students can get free food and free clothing every single week, including the university students that we have here in Yuma, U of A, NAU, and ASU. And faculty and staff can go there also. So it's a nice community pantry food bank that we have. We have a partnership with the food bank, so we get deliveries from them. And then we work with, we have some grants, and we work with the foundation's office to also supply it with things from like Fry's and Sam's Club. There's clothing, hygiene products. So there's always, things that people need, especially when cost of living is high and school's expensive. And, a lot of our students are non-traditional. They have families, they have kids, they have spouses. So we even have dog food in there. Like everybody needs help. So
are you starting to see more people seek the services? How has that been?
I think so. I think it's growing. I think more people are aware of it. We also have a club called the Student Health Advocates Club that I'm the advisor for. And we try to use that club to help advocate for all the services. And so the students, do a really good job of promoting Better Mind and talking about it. We work a lot with the Raza Club. They focus a lot on mental health, so they've really helped us to promote Better Mind usage. And I think we're just all working to normalize it more. And, it doesn't have to be that you're in a mental health crisis to get support. Maybe you just need somebody to talk to and, to prevent it from getting to a really serious place.
Yeah, that's a great service for the students here.
Yes, thank you for all the work that you and your team do. Here. So we're going to take our last break of today, but when we come back, we'll talk more about AWC and yoga, and you have a podcast, so we'll talk about that. So we're going to take a break, and we'll be back on What's Up Yuma Radio.
Run by music lovers like yourselves, KOFA Border Radio has what you need. A non-commercial home filled with music heard from all over the world. Tune in at 94.7 FM, 1320 AM on the KOFA app or at borderradioaz.org.
This is folk singer Michael Jonathan. Join us on Wood Songs this week from the rhubarb capital of the world, Amelia Day, a wonderful singer-songwriter, and from Asheville, North Carolina, Melody Guy, both artists and an amazing Wood Songs kid on this week's broadcast of the Wood Songs Old Time Radio Hour.
This evening at 7 p.m. on KOFA Border Radio 94.7 FM.
Seasonal temperatures with a slow warming trend in Quartzsite, Parker, and Yuma today. We expect it to be sunny with afternoon highs between 89 and 93. Winds becoming 5 to 15 miles per hour, could gust as high as 25 miles per hour in all three cities. Mostly clear skies tonight with a low near 60 degrees.
The city of Yuma hosts Water Safety Day on Saturday, June 6th from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. at the Valley Aquatic Center. Participants will learn skills and tips from the Greater Yuma Safety Alliance to focus on drowning prevention and water safety. There will be food vendors, fun activities, and more. Details at yumaaz.gov/events.
Tuned in to Border Radio KOFA. We are your local public radio station that celebrates the power of music to bring people together. You can see our playlists, listen to our live stream, and listen to past programs on demand on the KOFA app. Find it at your favorite app store.
What's up, Yuma? We are here with Adrienne. She's here with the Arizona Western College Student Health and Wellness Department. And so before we talk about what we're going to talk about, I want to mention briefly, so for being mindful of diet, right, there's other options, right? There's gluten-free these days. Everything is announcing that they have protein, right?
Yeah.
And then just for me, like it was also like eating in moderation. Mm-hmm. So you can have a slice of pizza, you can have a piece of cake or a pie, just,
Don't
smaller.
eat the whole box.
Yeah, not the whole thing in one sitting.
Yeah, I think just being mindful about like how you feel. I think a lot of us we're not really aware of that. Like we go through a drive-through and then we're just sticking our hand in the bag and driving at the same time when our brain really can't multitask. Like even though we love to try to do so much, giving yourself an opportunity to not have your phone, to really be present, to give yourself permission to eat as much as you need. And even if, like I know, like we talked about, like the culture, like a lot of times it's hard for Hispanic like families like myself to get, to waste food. We don't want to waste it. And so we end up eating it all because we don't want to let that go bad because, it's just ingrained in us. And so it may not be really serving us, but we do it anyway.
I was also thinking we also like to eat carbs.
Yes.
We like to eat our pan dulce or meats, tacos al pastor. Anyway, I'm hungry now. But anyway, so let's talk about yoga. So you teach yoga. So how's that go for you?
Yeah, I started just practicing yoga around the pandemic because I wasn't really able to go to the gym. And then I've also had 3 knee surgeries from cheerleading and gymnastics. So strength training wasn't really going to be the best thing for me to constantly do. And I saw people doing yoga and I'm like, they look fit, they look happy. Like, let's try that. So I just started doing it on my own at home. Yoga with Adrienne, not me, but she has the same name, same dog as me. So I was like, oh, let's try this one. And I really like it. It's just, it really helped my mind settle to just focus on something, and obviously it really does a lot for your nervous system at the same time. So maybe after 2 years of practicing yoga, I decided to become a yoga teacher, and I did it online. So it was self-paced, and then started working at Studio Y. Amanda was great, and she just let me start teaching without even being done with my certification. And so it was really nice to have her trust, and the community there is really great too. And maybe about 2 years ago, I started my master's in integral health with a concentration in yoga therapy. So every yoga teacher pretty much has a 200-hour training, but this training is 1,000 hours. So you're adding on so many things: prenatal yoga, yoga for heart disease, cancer recovery, substance abuse recovery. It's really focused on how to use the tools. There's a lot, to do with nutrition even, and understanding kind of your constitution. Some people have a different balance of the different elements in their body, so that's why they might have certain diagnosis of maybe symptoms and different ways that nutrition can kind of balance that out. So I thought that was really fascinating. But yeah, I'm almost done with my master's. I just have, to do some homework assignments, which are case studies on different anatomy and physiology, different trainings that we've done, like for like the heart disease and cancer. So just, working with clients to kind of figure out how do I work with that population, and so that you're sort of well-rounded in everything.
And so I want to mention you also have a podcast called Anything Flows. So how did that come about?
I think I just kind of wanted to do a podcast for a while. Like, I'm not really the type of person to do it, but I just love talking about yoga, talking about mindfulness and nutrition and wellness. And so I started it with my sister because we can really have like good banter together. But then she got kind of busy with being a full-time bachelor student, and so I started doing it more on my own, and sometimes I would have guests. Adley's been a guest,
Okay.
and so just different topics like fitness, sound baths, yoga therapy itself. So, yeah.
Where can we find that? Is it like everywhere, like you can find your podcast, like Spotify?
Spotify and Apple Podcasts, yeah.
Can you tell us about the yoga course you teach here?
Yeah, so this semester, the spring, I started teaching the yoga. It's called PER 108, and we take it in the gym. It's right now, or in the spring, it was on Fridays from about 9 to 10. And it's, just an intro to yoga class. But I obviously use a lot of my teachings in yoga therapy to help with managing stress and just toning our nervous system to be more resilient. And so this summer, we're doing again the classes, but it'll be Fridays at that time, and then also a Wednesday evening class at 6. So there'll be, I've learned a lot this semester about how to kind of make it, how to add more to it so that you're getting more education. So I think we'll talk a lot about maybe the chakra system, the mudras, just the subtle body, subtle energy things that maybe could be like something interesting for students to learn. So it's a little bit deeper than just the physical practice, because a lot of people just think yoga is about stretching and doing a warrior pose or a handstand, and yoga is really just sitting and observing your mind and allowing thoughts to come and go, but the physical practice can be helpful.
That is sometimes hard to do for people. I know that it's hard for me to do.
It's hard for me, yeah, but it's just a daily practice. It's just, like in yoga, you talk a lot about discipline. It's not like this strict discipline. It's just showing up, being consistent, not, focused on being perfect.
And so I think, in our busy lives that we all have, right, of, trying to be with our partner or, going to the store or, household chores or, of course, work, it's good to take that time to just, whether it's a few minutes or, longer, to just take a deep breath, take several deep breaths, be mindful of, yourself. And that helps as well.
Yeah, it's just like we call it kind of yoga snacks. And so throughout the day, maybe just doing some chair yoga while you're in a meeting or, just practicing some breath work as you're waiting for the elevator. Just little things that you can do. All that adds up.
Can you tell me how has it been, I guess, working with the community in Yuma? I'm sure you've had a lot of people seek you out because it's a need, right? How has that been to see them, kind of thrive in yoga and
It's been really cool. I mean, I've gotten a lot of awesome opportunities. I've done a lot with students, obviously, and working with kids, working with our staff here, but there's other opportunities that I've been introduced to, like to work with YPG's fire department, or there's a group home in the Regional Center for Border Health Community that they want me to start doing some classes. So it's really cool to see the community trying to do something preventable, trying to focus on preventative health, and just it doesn't have to. There's a lot of different ways that we can take care of ourselves. So it's good to have that introduction for them.
Oh, well, what will you be doing with the fire department?
We're going to do some little, maybe some yoga classes, not super out of their comfort zone, meet them where they are, but definitely focusing on breath work, probably some journaling practices, because self-reflection and self-study is a really big piece of yoga. So just different ways that they can manage stress, because the work that they do is literally fight or flight. So, we need to be regulated in order to support other people. So I'm excited for that one. And then there's another opportunity to work with the juvenile detention center, working with the kids there. So yeah, there's a lot. I mean, that's kind of like what I really enjoy is working with the populations that maybe you don't typically see doing yoga or having the luxury of going to an hour-long class.
I've seen some videos recently on social media of some prisons having, the
prison yoga
do
projects.
Yoga. Do you know about that?
Yeah, There's a lot going on, especially in Mexico. I know a teacher who does some classes at the detention center when you're going up to Phoenix. So it's growing, and I think it's really needed.
So as we wrap up, can you let people know like how they can get more information, either like a website or social media if you want to share?
Yeah, so you can follow me on Instagram, Coach Adrienne _, and then if you want to learn more about student health and wellness, you can visit azwestern.edu, and you can find us and just search health and wellness.
All right, Adrienne Noriega, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And with that, we're going to go to our legal read. What's Up Yuma Radio is a production of KAWC. We broadcast from studios in the Matador Activity Center at Arizona Western College in Yuma. We want to thank our engineer, Talon Gonzalez, along with Juan Garcia, Cecilia Holland-Braithwaite, Anthony Ornelas, and Dave Reek. You can find out more about KOFA at borderradioaz.org and on the KOFA app. Stay tuned for KOFA's Midday Music. On tomorrow's program, we'll have AWC softball. We'll have a couple of players here. They're getting ready for the national tournament. We'll also have Lindsay Elk. She's going to talk about Relay for Life, and she's also part of the Yuma Chamber of Commerce. You can listen to the podcast version of our program and check out past episodes anytime at kawc.org/podcast/What's Up Yuma Radio. Thanks again, Alex, for helping me out today, and we'll be back tomorrow.
We will. See you then.
All right, thanks again. And if you want to be on the show, whatsupyuma.biz, or look for us on Instagram, What's Up Yuma. Thank you so much. All right.
Also on our website, KWC.
KWC, yeah.
What's Up Yuma is sponsored by Citrine Law, LLC, a Yuma law firm practicing criminal defense, DUI defense, and personal injury law. Information is at citrinelaw.com.
Broadcasting from Yuma campus of Arizona Western College for more than 55 years, this is Border Radio, 94.7 FM, KOFA Yuma. We also broadcast at 1320